Hello, everybody. This is Brent, your instructor for Physical Therapist Assistant Program Class number 116, Musculoskeletal Focus. I'm going to make a video today about just the different actions that the muscles do. This will be part of hopefully several videos that I make over the course of the class so that we can, any concepts or things that are a little bit tougher or that maybe don't make sense unless you see them, you'll have a chance to see them here. And I just want to make sure that we do things in this class that make you feel like you're getting as much education as you would if you were here on campus with me. And so I'm going to make at least this video and probably several others to kind of just help ensure that this class goes well and that you're learning everything that you need to. So like I said, the first thing we're going to talk about is the actions. Every muscle performs different actions, and as you study, you'll need to memorize, and I've talked about it in the introductory videos, the actions, the origin, the insertion, and the nerve of every muscle in your Canvas notes. But it helps if you understand what those actions actually are and what they mean. So we're going to start with flexion and extension. We'll start with our hands. If I flex my fingers, I squeeze them down and bring them closer to my body. If I extend them, I'm kind of moving more away from my body. This is true in other body parts as well. With my elbow, let me move this here. So if I flex my elbow, I'm bringing it towards my body. If I extend my elbow, I'm bringing it back. It can happen with the shoulder as well. I flex my shoulder, I bring it forward up towards my body. If I extend my shoulder, I am bringing it back behind my body and kind of away from my body. Will apply to the hip and the knee as well. And so that's flexion and extension. Flexion, extension. Okay. The next actions are abduction and adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, and adduction. Abducting something means you take it away from where it's supposed to be. If somebody were to abduct me, they would be taking me away from my family, from my work, from my job, from my life. And so it's similar with the actions with shoulder abduction. I'm bringing my shoulder up, out, away from my body, and then bringing it back down towards my body. So out away is abduction, and then back towards me is adduction. Abduction, adduction works the same way with the fingers. If I bring my fingers apart, oops, wrong direction, sorry. Abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction. With my hip, if I were standing and kicked my leg out to my side, that would be abduction. And then if I brought it back down, back towards my body, that would be adduction. Or so if I was standing and doing jumping jacks with my hips, my hips come out, my legs come out, that's abduction. When I bring them back together in the jumping jack, that's adduction. Okay. So the next one is internal and external rotation, or medial and lateral rotation. They're terms that you can use synonymously. So I'm going to bring my arm up here, and I'm going to see if I can make this kind of work. I'm going to turn the camera down here so that you can see. So if I have my arm by my side and I bring my arm across my body, I am internally or medially rotating it. It's medial because more towards the middle of my body is medial, and then towards the outside of my body is lateral. So if I hold my hand like this and I bring it in across my body, I am internally rotating my shoulder here. And then if I bring it out away from my body, I am externally rotating it. Also, it can be medial rotation and lateral rotation. So medial or internal rotation, and then lateral or external rotation, and that's occurring there at my shoulder. You can have the same thing with your hip, where you turn your hip inwards medial rotation or internal rotation. If you turn your hip outwards, lateral or external rotation of the hip. The next movement is also going to be a rotational movement, rotation of the spine. You can do it obviously at your neck. You can do it at your waist. And there's no really directional component with that. It's either rotation with the muscles, though it will say rotation to the same side. That means the rotation will go towards the same side that the muscle is, or it will be rotation to the opposite side where the muscle shortens to bring the body towards away from actually where the muscle itself sits. And you'll see that in the muscles of the neck when we get to them. But that's rotation. Also in the spine, you have lateral flexion. So if I bring my head to this side, I am laterally flexing it to the right side. If I bring it to this side, I am laterally flexing it to the left side. Lateral flexion to the right, lateral flexion to the left. And you can see I'm actually a little bit tight on that side. So the next one is elevation and depression. So actually when we talk, we're elevating and depressing our mandible over and over, bringing it down. When I open my mouth is depression, is elevation, well, no, depression, I'm sorry. Bringing it down is depression, bringing it back up is elevation, so depression. And then elevation is bringing it together. It happens in the shoulder blades as well. So if I bring my shoulders up, like I'm shrugging, like I don't know what the heck's going on, that's elevation. When I bring them back down, that's depression. It also happens in our chest. If I take a big old deep breath, I'm elevating my whole rib cage. And then when I let that breath out, I'm depressing the rib cage, and there are muscles that control that and do that in our body. Let's see here, supination and pronation. This is another rotational movement. Let me move this camera again. So if I put my hand out like this, let me get it where you can see it here. And I have my hand up, this is called supination. If I turn it over, that's pronation, okay? Supination, pronation, right in the middle is just neutral. Supination, pronation, neutral. So a good way to remember this, which one is which, is if you have your hand up and can hold a bowl of soup in it, like so, then that's supination. So supination is the one you could hold a bowl of soup during, okay? Pronation, supination. Then we have protraction and retraction. You can do this in your jaw. If I stick my bottom teeth forward and I stick my jaw out, that's protraction. When I bring it back, or back even towards my head more, that's retraction. You can do the same thing with your scapula. So you can see it if I'm sitting just like this. If I bring my shoulders kind of forward, I'm bringing the whole shoulder blade forward. That's protraction. Gives me bad posture, which I'm trying not to have. And then if I bring it back and try and kind of have a little bit better posture, or if I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, that's a retraction. So protraction, retraction. You can also see that with your arm out. So if I just hold my arm normal and then I bring my shoulder blade forward, that's protraction of the shoulder blade. And then if I bring it back, that's retraction, protraction, retraction. Not moving my body at all, just my shoulder blade. Okay, so protraction and retraction. Protraction goes towards the front of the body. Retraction is moving more towards the back or in posterior part of the body. Protraction anterior, retraction posterior. Another movement of the shoulder is horizontal abduction and horizontal adduction. So if I bring my arm this way across my body and it's horizontal to the ground, like so, that this is horizontal adduction. because it's coming across my body and towards my body. This is adduction. And then if I go back kind of away from my body horizontally, that's horizontal abduction or abduction. Horizontal adduction, horizontal abduction. That really occurs only in the shoulder. And then finally, the thumb is a little bit different. Remember I said abduction and adduction of the fingers, flexion and extension of the fingers. The thumb works a little bit differently. This is thumb flexion. This is thumb extension. Flexion, extension. When it goes across the hand, that's flexion. When it comes back out but still going in that across pattern, that's extension. Adduction is your thumb just right up against your hand like that. Abduction is going forward away from the hand. So adduction, abduction, flexion, extension. And those are all the different movements that your body does. And so when you're studying your actions, origins, insertions, and nerves of your muscles, those you can always kind of think back to this video, and hopefully as you've done it, maybe you practiced along with it. Make sure you run through these every once in a while so they kind of stick in your mind what exactly that looks like, and it will really help you as you're studying your actions, knowing what's going on and what that all means. So